Let's move on to item number 7, Sun Link Streetcar Project, scheduled for 40 minutes. Staff has an update on Sun Link Streetcar Project. Mr. Manager? Mr. Quigley.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity to brief you today. First, I'd like to introduce Kevin Clark of Oregon Iron Works, who will provide us an update on their vehicle production activities.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for you're coming down from Portland today. Is that my understanding? Yes. All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for welcoming me here today, welcoming me back to Tucson. As Andy said, I'm here representing Oregon Iron Works. Oregon Iron Works, one thing I want to do is introduce my company, introduce myself, and give a little bit of an update on where we are with the streetcars. Oregon Iron Works is a privately held company based in Oregon. It was founded in 1977. Oregon Iron Works specializes as one of the premier companies right now in marine, hydroelectric, ground-based missile defense, bridge building, that kind of thing. So over time, it has built $1.5 billion worth of various projects. By way of introduction of United Streetcar is Oregon Iron Works, one of its newest subsidiaries, and I'm the president of United Streetcar, which was founded in 2008 to give an American answer to this, what we saw as a growing need to build streetcars for cities across America. I joined United Streetcar earlier this year after having done some work, and I'm the president of United Streetcar. Although I grew up in a small town in Oregon, the Tucson Streetcar Project has a special place and special emphasis for me. Both my parents are University of Arizona graduates, and I was born in Tucson 48 years ago this year. So thank you for welcoming me home. It's the only place I can truly call home. Send Phil Knight. I'll work on that. Thank you. Before I go on, we had a United Streetcar last week. We had a large number of the Tucson representatives there doing our every 6 week or so project review. We had a big week up at United Streetcar. A number of things happened. First, we had our first streetcar that we were building under contract for the city of Portland went into revenue service after having been delivered and undergoing its final test over the last couple of months. So that went into revenue service last week and on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we had the first Tucson vehicle, what we call Tucson 101, out on the test track for the first time, actually running around the track. As a part of our planning, we planned to do a lot of filming of some of the events that were going on up there, and we put together a short video, which I hope I can show you now, and it'll just give you a flavor for United Streetcar and what's going on. What you'll see, one of the things you'll see in this is the first Tucson streetcar, which is a blue, white, and yellow streetcar, for those of you who haven't seen the renderings of that. Does this start it, or will you start it? Okay, so it's about 2 minutes long. Thanks. Team right now that's focused really on 3 things. It's the quality of the cars, it's the reliability of the cars, and it's delivering them to our customers.
have a team focused on building the best made streetcars in America.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I want to just give you a quick update on where we are with the cars. As we're all aware, the streetcars are a little bit late right now. My focus is on meeting the schedule that we've delivered to you now, delivering safe, reliable streetcars to the city of Tucson. The first streetcar will be arriving here in Tucson. That's the one you saw in the video and going around the track with a few of the people here, Mr. Quigley and Steve Christie and others on the track. That car will be arriving here in Tucson in late August, and I'll go over a little bit more of the schedule. Our production times, as you know, we've been ramping up production of the streetcars in our Portland plant. And getting that first Portland car into service was a critical step for us, because once you get through that first type production, then everything ramps up from there. So while we had the first car go into revenue service just last week, the second car we expect to go into revenue service the week after that, next week. And then the next 3 cars to Portland will be delivered by the end of September or so. Now, the Tucson car is based largely upon the Portland car, and there have been a lot of lessons learned in building that car. There are a variety of reasons for delays that I think can be discussed and will be discussed. My focus right now is to talk to you about my commitment for United Streetcar to deliver the safe, reliable cars on the schedule that we've delivered to you. I'm 100% focused on that right now. Looks like I had some slides I was going to be going through. Among other things that we've done around the production schedule, we've been adding people as quickly as we can to our production force as it has made sense, as our supply chain has caught up. We've introduced some processes to our project management and to our production floor, and we are expecting to be delivering streetcars at a rate of 1 every 4 weeks or so by the time we get out to the August-September time frame. This is just an example. So this is the what we call Tucson 101. It's the first Tucson streetcar. It was in our production shop. I would love to be able to transport all of you to our production shop and let you see what it looks like, but the video gave you an idea. We've got 2 lines, 2 tracks going down, and within on each line we've got 4 streetcars. And so there are 8 streetcars in there, and at the present time, 6 of those 8 streetcars on our production floor are part of the Tucson, the set of cars that will be delivered to Tucson. As one rolls out, another one rolls in and starts and begins its way through the process. So this was on May 18th. The first car was at the end of the line in the shop, and then just last Tuesday afternoon, we had that car running out on the test track. It's a huge step to make for a streetcar, because what that means is that in order to even apply power to the streetcar, all the systems, all the electrical systems, which are extraordinarily high-tech, complex electrical systems and mechanical systems, have gone through their initial static testing, and we're able to apply power and actually run it on the track at 25 miles an hour. On the 12th, we had some Tucson representatives on the car. I don't think this picture showed up in the video, but there were a lot of happy people on board, including myself, to be able to be out on the track. This is the schedule I alluded to, and I think you've probably also discussed. For 101, getting into testing in early June, with then shipment and arrival in Tucson. We ship the streetcars via a special trailer that's a railed trailer. It'll take probably 5 days to a week to arrive down here, and I hope to be standing here to greet it when it pulls into town. Then 102, you can see roughly every month, every 4 weeks or so, another car is going to go into test and then be shipped a couple of months after that, after it goes through static and dynamic testing. Upon arrival in Tucson, then we'll have our team here doing the final testing of the streetcars on the track so that they can be commissioned and then put into service. Mr. Mayor, that concludes what I had to say.
All right. Members of the council, any questions for Mr. Clark? Councilmember Cunningham.
With our current car configuration, what is the passenger load max on a standard trip?
Councilmember Cunningham, is that, the standard load, the car is actually tested for a weight load of up to 156 people. Normal usable passenger load is about 115 or so. We see that every day in Portland on the cars on that track.
And, well, thank you. That concludes my question.
Okay.
Anybody else? Sure. And Mr. Clark, if you would have a seat, and it may come back around to you once we have staff present. So appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Quigley or Mr. Manager? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, again, I'm proud to be here this afternoon to talk to you, and Shelley and I will discuss with you our progress on the streetcar to date. For you, you see the outline of our track configuration, starting at the Arizona Health and Science Center, going to the Mercado District. This is a 3.9-mile segment, and construction began in April of last year. This route will connect the University of Arizona, the Main Gate area, to downtown and the west side. Approximately $9 million has been spent just on some of the utility work that we've done with respect to this streetcar construction. That's just dollars from our project. In addition to that, utilities like Quest, TEP, Southwest Gas have spent millions of dollars also improving the infrastructure on downtown. And this has been not without difficulty. This is the oldest section of downtown. We found a whole bunch of things we didn't anticipate finding, and many of those things took a lot longer to rectify and deconflict, so we were able to construct it effectively. Final construction elements for this, we're really looking at into July, that the major rail construction, the disruptions that our public has endured will come to an end. We will see periodic adjustments in traffic flows as we go and string wire, getting the electrical system tested out. But by and large, by July, we will see all the rail components done. A couple of things that I want to point out to you is we've got nearly 94% of our track completed. We've got about 86% of our overhead contact wire system completed, and 63% of the wire actually strung out on the line. All of our traction power subsystems are in. Just to kind of elaborate a little bit more on all the underground utilities that we did, we installed and replaced almost 7.25 miles of water main from the university to downtown into the Mercado District. We've done some sewer work for Pima County, 576 feet of new sewer. We have new storm drains for 1,700 feet of pipe, new catch basins, manholes. completed a 8th Street drainage project that will also move a great deal of water through the 4th Avenue area. So we've had a lot of underground work done, a lot of improvements, and these improvements are not just for now. These improvements are for the next 50 to 75 years. We've made a significant improvement in our infrastructure. We have worked with the development community where we could to ensure that we sized these connections appropriately for them so that we would only do this once, and we've had a great success with that. Our station stops, 27 of the 33 stops are in place now with foundations and canopies, 82% complete. Electrical conduit, we've done almost a little over 12 miles, 52 out of 82 streetlights done, 63% completion in streetlights. Our poles for our traffic signals, 76% complete, and equipment installed to support those signals, 73%. And again, the City of Tucson Department of Transportation's construction staff had a lot of hard work to be done on this. First with Jesse Gutierrez, the project manager, and now with Joe Chase, who has taken this over in February and has done a tremendous job keeping our contractors on schedule and on budget. Again, our maintenance and storage facility that's located over on 9th. This is a roughly $7.8 million investment that we're making. This is a three-bay storage facility for the streetcar. It is near, actually, RDMT, our streetcar operator, is occupying the building now. In April 2013, it was done on schedule and largely on budget, and we're now awaiting cars. A couple of things that I want to alert you to is that, yes, in August we're going to have our car. And our car is going to be here, and then our next car is going to come right after that. But it takes a while to get those cars up and running. One of the things that we don't have that Portland has is Portland has a functioning streetcar system. These cars that they have are augmenting an existing system. Their vehicles, their population, their pedestrians, their bikes, all have been operating either with knowing that TriMet's around or the streetcar's around. We are going to be in a condition of, and Shelley's going to get into this and talk a little bit about the education efforts that are going to be involved with this. But these cars are going to be tested for quite some time in our city. We've got to burn in 310 miles on a 3.9 mile track, each car. 62 of those last miles, no defects. We have probably a 500-page testing guidance book for each of the cars to go through, and every test must be passed. So it's going to be a little frustrating for our public. They're going to see these cars, they're going to be stopping at stops, and nobody's getting on and nobody's getting off. Doors may open, may not. It's kind of like the Hotel California, I guess. But you're not going to be able to really appreciate our cars until we start into pre-revenue service. And we're looking at that schedule sometime late next spring. Shelley?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, another focus for this project, and one of the reasons that the modern streetcar was selected in the first place, was the potential for really supporting economic development along this line. And so we connect the University of Arizona with 2 commercial districts in Main Gate and 4th Avenue, and then to downtown, and finally to the west redevelopment area known as Mercado area. The goal was to take advantage of federal funds in the form of Tiger funds, as well as New Start's exempt funding. Those ERA funds that we received of $63 million resulted in their focus was providing jobs for the community. So we have both a focus for the short-term jobs as well as the long-term jobs that this type of system can provide. We also have seen, and we're counting on and are glad to see, that we have over $800 million of investment along the line. And obviously, if you step outside and see the cranes in the sky, you know that there's a lot of investment happening along this area, a lot of development, a lot of businesses that are coming in, a lot of housing units going up. You're going to continue to see that kind of trend. We've seen it in other cities with streetcar, including Portland, Oregon, obviously, which upgraded their Pearl District, which was an abandoned warehouse area, and turned it into a very viable mixed-use area that became a prime property for people to live, work, and recreate. We know that we're connecting our neighborhoods as well, and we've tried to be sensitive to the neighborhoods along this alignment and included them in all of the planning process and decision-making and when we were selecting this route. And the goal, of course, is to just keep triggering that redevelopment and that transit-oriented development along the line. One of the decisions that we made was to move forward with a study on how a survey with the University of Arizona students, faculty, and staff to find out what they were thinking of the streetcar. And this is something that we have taken information from during outreach and public process, but we haven't actually done a survey. And so a random survey was done that contacted over 10,000 possible respondents, and we had about 25% respond back, which is a very good percentage when you're talking about a random survey. And we've got some really good feedback that we'd heard at our community events that we'd held and we'd heard at our outreach programs, but we hadn't had a statistical type of survey done. And so with that, we've got over 73% interested in using the Sun Link system. Now, we're not surprised by that. We actually need to make sure we're prepared for that. That's the next step in trying to market to that group, working with the University of Arizona on accessing them and being able to take advantage of letting them know what the streetcar can offer them. And obviously there's a great interest even in folks who are currently going to school and may or may not be here when the streetcar runs. So the goal was to get information from the students on what they were interested in and also what was a priority for them. The biggest priorities were frequency of operation. That's very key. That means that we do need to keep trying to maintain those 10 to 12 minute frequencies during the majority of the day. And also hours, looking at our hours of operation. And obviously, there's a lot of different users in that time frame between early morning until late evening. And so we want to take advantage of the best ridership we can and trying to offer the hours as best we can with our operations plan. Andy had talked about a public education campaign that we're going to be moving forward with. We have been focused on construction. Over the last 18 months, it's been definitely a huge outreach to the community on what to expect during construction, what the upcoming changes are. They've changed fast and fluidly. Now that we're starting to ramp down on construction, rail's going to be completed by next month, we need to start preparing the community for what happens after the construction. We may not be in service until later in 2014, but we are going to have a system that is in place on the streets, and we need to educate our public now on how to maneuver around that system. So that includes working closely with different areas of the community, the bicyclists, making sure that they understand how they can ride on the streets with tracks there, try to understand what the signage and the striping is going to be provided there to help them be able to maneuver safely. For folks in wheelchairs, we've got to focus on that, on pedestrians walking through and along the alignment, making sure that they start becoming aware of a change in the roadway and how to cross the roadway safely. Also, vehicles, we need to start training our drivers that what's out there on the street and in preparation for when the streetcars get here and being able to function safely with the streetcar. This is a system that runs in your lanes of travel. It's not on its own right-of-way, and so we want to make sure that we're getting that information out to the public. And so this is the campaign that we're about ready to launch to move out of construction and into the areas of outreach, education, and preparation for when the streetcars actually start getting here. And these are the tools that we use. And so you can imagine that in these days of social media, you have to take advantage of a lot more of the different types of social possibilities of contacting people. And so we've got all of that. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we tweet a lot, we Facebook a lot. We are developing more and more contacts. We're excited to see that we're almost 2,500 contacts, which I remember when we started, and we were excited when we hit 200. So we're moving along, and I think that's a little bit of a snowball, and it's going to be getting better as well. We've got a website that provides extensive information. We have a phone line. We have brochures, flyers, information that goes out to different communities, including Spanish speakers. We want to make sure that we're educating them as well. So we're trying to provide as many diverse tools and ways of communicating with the public as we can, and if new things come up in the next year, we'll probably try to take advantage of that as well. So we're trying to be as cutting edge as we can on and educating the public. And that concludes our presentation.